On Friday, April the 19th, 2019, I posted anachronism number 2836. It's called So Long, Mr. Smith. Robert Smith can be just as heart-stirringly depressing when he's just singing out the screen door window down into the courtyard. Somebody just had the precious wherewithal to notice how his own, the room from which he's singing very live, window is open just so, the window that is, I might more correctly relay, is the one window that emanates from the room in which he's crooning, the one window that's connected to the room in which Mr. Robert Smith is crooning. Never lose sight. The room he is singing within these 5 stories of very small rooms, the courtyard, the unexpected acoustics, meaning horrible or fantastic, and everything in between of the courtyard, smushed against almost the open courtyard windows themselves. We are truly neighbors in this transitional housing venue where Robert Smith has taken to crooning from within the very heart of the structure. There's rain presently forecasted, and there's rain now. Forecasted for days on end, in fact. This happens in San Francisco. Is Mr. Smith chagrined? That's just a joke. I'm sure he's immune to, if not in love with, the rain in general, as it builds upon or flavors his crooning. And nobody could stand anywhere in the vicinity and say that it perhaps might be tomorrow, perhaps the next day, perhaps the following, or simply that the next several weeks are game, or else he'll be gone. But Mr. Smith seems not to recognize that he's even making an event at a transitional housing facility, at my transitional housing facility in San Francisco this week. But no, the final several weeks shall be more dramatic, I'd say. Note to self. Is it time that I begin adding, if you like this sort of thing? No. This is a magnificent opportunity. Of what portion, I have no idea at the moment, but we'll get there, and we'll all get there together. Notes to self. How many of the tenants know who Robert Smith is? How many care? I know there's an 80s song fanatic that resides in a room through a window directly across the courtyard from my own, or in the general vicinity. Should I introduce them? And is there a link between Robert Smith, homelessness, harm reduction, and here I'm surely grasping, and or anything San Francisco that is relevant? Repeat, is anything relevant here? Ooh, he's still crooning this afternoon. Good ones, Mr. Smith. This is most definitely relevant. And great ones, indeed. Then it hits me like a ton of reverb that I've been avoiding you, my darling, for quite some time, even if you do yet barely exist. But you do. Oh, you purple bear, you. And you remember that the theme at tonight's discotheque is Purple Room. You haven't begun to think about a costume, of course, much less the concept for the grand entrance hallway. A clumsy one always, and yet the theme of clumsy conversation that makes up about half of the after-party talk. Is it that nobody is high yet, maybe? But I am so swimming with, well, if not ideas, then notions that this whole thing can be brought together for the good of everyone. Should something purple walk out of my closet and say, Dell, I've got it. Well, no such thing happens, at least post-haste. However, as if on breakthrough, you realize that this is exactly what you've always been working your way towards. Or at least sidling your career practically alongside. And I'd say that the crash details of this into are about to be known around the world, or at least around ours, and Mr. Smith's. Or maybe not Mr. Smith's. He's wonderfully out of touch. And it's your calling, it's your call, if not calling. And I see this written all over your face like a map. So, in wonder of this world of potential that, well, it has a world, a geography of potential. It's your calling, you remember, and your call. You realize ASAP. Is it a new calling and the old calling simultaneously? This would take a while for you. For me, for us to parse through individually and in toto, I can tell. I even saw that glimmer say with fortitude that it's your profession, if you will, and it damned well be your entrance. And it damn well might be your entrance. A world of sighs all around. These poems, just desperate times, desperate measures, long poems, a few mistakes within each poem, it seems. Time will tell how things turn out in this slightly offbeat club in the oddest part of San Francisco. For San Francisco, I mean. The club had been part of the city's mainstay since I was part of the city mainstay, which began toward 2 decades now. Not the end of my particular pull in the city, just this endless party. I'd recalled with lots of funny faces the ongoing theme of the awkward hallway that made its way from the slightly off-kilter parked cars under the little umbrella. It was always at least drizzling. Then, over the red carpet and into the great indoors, and finally toward the beat of the herky-jerky, come what may, that led to the dance floor. Oh, I hear once there were gigantic round hay bales. The event was filled to gala proportion that night. Even Mr. Smith showed up. Something that had been a larger part of the gamble. And you'd found your profession, if you will. Even if it was momentary. And more than anything, you'd found your entrance. Life, we'd see once again, was to be grabbed by the balls and kissed so desperately hard one wouldn't know if they'd immediately be spit up. Life, the poor balls, etc. And this we had made the god, if not grandiose thing that begins and often ends all things so fantastic. This poem is for my lovely and exuberant and gracious friend of 32 years or so, Tammy Powell. Dr. Tammy Powell. Huh. Thanks.